I first interviewed my next guest back in 1993 when he created and performed in one of the first successful Australian musicals ever, Hot Shoe Shuffle. He was artistic director for Hey Hey It's Saturday, the Bicentennial Military Tattoo. He was one of the persons behind The Man from Snowy River, the arena spectacular you might have seen. He was behind the 2000 Olympics in Sydney, then the Winter Olympics in 2010. He has won numerous awards and received the Order of Australia Medal in 2003. He's the artistic director and the executive producer for this year's White Night Melbourne. David Atkins is on the line waiting for us right now. Great to have you with us, David.
Well, there are checks in the mail for the introduction.
Thank you. Well, after your television performance this morning, I've got a check and you got a check. I saw you.
Did you? There you go. Yeah. It can't be missed.
It's a bloody good show, mate. Studio 10 is great.
Yeah, I liked it. I had fun. I thought it was great.
Oh, it is. They've got the right chemistry for it, and it works.
Yeah, no, it's a really good package, and great personalities, and a really good cross section of people on it. Yeah. It's 2.5 hours of TV, and it actually works a treat.
Well, I thought I might have seen you up cooking this morning, but you didn't do any cooking, did you?
No.
I thought you might have been up there, doing a bit of your cooking expertise. No. I tell you what, 1993, when I first interviewed you in the studios of 3AK in Melbourne, and that was for Hot Shoe Shuffle. Gee, some water under the bridge since then, mate.
Yeah, I was listening to the intro and going, when you said 1993, I thought, it's got to be Hot Shoe. But, it's a long time ago. Lots of stuff since then.
Oh, my word. Yes, you've been a busy guy and got the Order of Australia, of course, and many other things. Hot Shoe Shuffle 2 has come back again, hasn't it? I think I saw something in Sydney.
Yeah, we did a 20-year sort of anniversary tour in 2013. Did another round of it, and I played the father of the character I originally played.
Yeah, you played Max, I think, didn't you? In that?
Yeah, I played the old man. Max, I played the eldest son when I started, and 20 years later.
Well, I suppose as we get older, the dancing and the tapping is a little bit harder to do.
It is a tad, yes. I don't think I could have done, what I'd done 20 years ago, certainly, and I wouldn't have done justice to it. We had some great young cast members in that show, and Bobby Fox
was
playing the lead. He did a great job with Jazz Flowers doing Rhonda's role. Yeah, it was a good production.
Of course, you've got a great background, too, in theatre. You had a mum who was a Tivoli girl from memory, wasn't she?
Yep. Yeah, Mum performed on the TIV, and she was a juvenile performer and had worked on most of the big Melbourne stages before she was 6-7 years old. She was working with Alicia Wren at the TIV, and it goes back right back to I think it's fourth generation. Her mum was a performer and dancer as well.
Yeah, vaudeville, wasn't she?
Then it goes back to English musical. So yeah.
So you were destined to be in show business then.
Well, I think it was supposed to be my sister, and somewhere along the gene pool got mixed up, and she ended up playing football and driving trucks, and I ended up at dancing school.
I think I was reading about you somewhere, and you didn't really want to do dance, but you used to mimic your sister, didn't you?
Yeah, we got taken along to dance class when I was very young. Yeah. And Mum assumed, I think Mum assumed rather that, my sister would sort of continue the legacy. But, and I was standing up the back, and my sister wasn't interested, and the teacher came up and said, do you want your son taught dancing? And that's how it started. Well,
from a kid who really didn't want to do or had little interest, at the age of 12, you debuted in MAME overseas. What a coup that was.
Yeah, no, I was really lucky, and I had a fantastic time, and that theatre is the background, and it's always, I guess it's where your heart is, theatre and dance and performing, and but I've had a fantastic opportunity to do other things over the years as a result of that, which has been great. That's
right, the choreography and what you're doing right now, and the Sydney Olympics. I mean, so that was a huge feat for you, was it?
Yeah, that was obviously the biggest thing I think at that time I'd ever done, and it was an invitation by Rick Birch to become artistic director, and I had no idea, to be honest, what I was getting into. I'd done some arena events, and as you mentioned earlier, I'd done the Bicentennial Tattoo, and that was a big event too. And the Sydney Olympics was a huge jump in terms of my learning and my understanding of that particular forum. The Olympics is quite an amazing event, as you know, but doing one in your home city was really a huge challenge, but a great learning curve. And I was very lucky because we had there was just a brilliant team of people assembled to do that job, and that was just the work of a wonderful team, really.
Well, now we've got you in Melbourne for the White Night Melbourne Festival. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's been in Melbourne, as you know, for 5 years now. This is the 50th year coming up. 2017 will mark its 5th anniversary. And it's had an enormous success, and it's been really warmly embraced by Melbourne audiences. And, it's had a steady increase in its attendance to the point where now it's really, I don't think you could have more people visit it. I think it's quite a very, very well-populated event. And captures, it's one of the few events that closes down the city in the way that this does, and really closes the CBD for 12 hours from dusk until dawn, and gives the city over to artists of almost every sort and style and discipline to present their works on the city and use the city as that canvas. So we've got a fantastic array of things from art installations. To music, there's 5 music stages with all sorts of different music. Some fantastic performances. We've got roving performances. There's exhibitions. There's galleries. There's street performers, and some fantastic sort of physical pieces that have been created by artists that are in the gardens. But in particular, this year for us, one of our agendas was to really activate the north and southern precincts, so Carlton Gardens and Alexandra and Victoria Gardens. And they've got some really wonderful things. And the idea for that is to encourage audiences to start their journeys there and to try and decentralise the city a bit, just to try and spread the audience across the whole precinct and get people. There's been a prevailing sort of idea in past years that you've got to get to Flinders and Swanson Street, and that's where it all happens. And certainly there'll be things in the city, and there's lots of fantastic events there. But we've looked at making those other parklands, particularly Carlton Gardens and Alexandra Gardens, just as exciting. I think we've more than doubled the amount of pieces and artistic installations in the gardens at both ends this year.
David, I'm glad you've done that, because there was some talk last year of people wanting an extra night, a second night, and how you've dispersed now the crowd for this year. That sounds quite successful.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're not going to know until the night how well that messaging's been sort of accepted and acted on. But I'm hoping that I'm taking every opportunity to try and alert people to that, because it's really the best way and it's the most enjoyable way to start the night, because the event runs for the 12 hours, so you're not going to miss anything. It's not like, if you don't get there from between 7 and 10 o'clock, you're going to miss anything. So, if you don't have kids, I'd encourage people to get up and have dinner somewhere and then come in after midnight, and enjoy it, when the crowds are really, on their fall rather than on their rise.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. What's the crowds like after midnight? And you just answered that question, so...
Yeah, well, always less. I mean, really, probably from 9 until 1 is the sort of, and it's the logical period.
That's a peak, yes. Yeah.
But really, because it's Sunday, people can come in and, spend 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours and go back home to bed or have a sleep in the afternoon on Sunday. It's not a work day that follows it. So, if you really want to avoid the crowds, and it can be crowded because it's it's a very heavily attended event, and that's the way to do it. Start in the gardens and then come into the city when you feel, that it's a good time to do that. And for families, obviously, we've focused a lot this year on that same idea, that we know that, people with kids will come in early, and some people, and it's a really good idea too, if you've got young kids, to get up early with them at 5 and come in and do the last 2 hours in the city, in the morning,
David,
when there's far less crowds.
David, as executive producer, where on earth do you start with something like this?
Start running, I think. It's we're lucky. I mean, we've inherited an event that has been hugely successful. So we've got we're on the shoulders of the past artistic director and production teams, and they've done a great job with it. So we inherited all that information, and so certain things like taking a few sort of changes in structure and trying to promote the gardens, the north and south. That's been a change for for us, and trying to have, I guess, my background's informed some of the works. Obviously, my dance background. There's a work in Collins Street this year, for instance, called Swing City,
right,
which basically deals with dance from mid-30s to mid-50s. And we've got a fantastic lineup there. We've got Jason Coleman's going to host it. We've got the John Morrison Big Band, a 13-piece big band, an array of singers. We've got jitterbug dancers, jive dancers, and exhibition ballroom dancers. We teach people to dance. We've even got marathon dancers who are going to dance all 12 hours of the night.
Yeah.
So there's some really, some very. I guess one of the things is that that some of these installations will be a little more theatre based than they might have been in the past. But some really great works, and we also brought some works back from past White Nights. We've looked at what was done in the past, and there was a piece done 2.5 years ago, I think 2 years ago, called Purple Rain, and of course with the passing of Prince last year, it's sort of topical to bring that back, and that's a fantastic piece where you get an umbrella and we make it rain, and you walk through it, and it's all lit purple, and that's a great piece. And
that's going to be Little Lonsdale Street, I think, isn't it?
Sorry?
Little Lonsdale Street for Purple Rain?
That's correct, yeah. Right alongside the Victorian State Library. So that's in Little Lonsdale. And then you've got another piece that's been done before. Carla O'Brien, who's a fantastic artist, she's doing a new work called Love This Way, which is a big neon sign and a whole series of neon love hearts down in Alexandra Gardens. But she's also bringing back a piece called Angel Wings, Neon Angel Wings, which will be at the Town Hall. And that was a highly photographed piece, and it's a piece that she took to Burning Man. The Burning Man Festival. So, and then, aside from that, there's some really, for kids, we've got 40 possums, 40 fluffy, possums in Carlton Gardens with LED lights in their eyes, and you have to find them. So the idea is for families to find, they've got to count the 40 possums, so they've got to count the 40 sets of eyes in the darkness. And we've got a piece up there called Pyrophone Juggernaut as well, which is a fantastic work that was been created by an Australian performance group. And that's the world's largest fire organ with percussion and the whole performance piece. So, and great projections on the NGV as a huge projection piece. Projections on the State Library, on the Royal Exhibition Building. So, it's a big program.
We certainly have the buildings here in Melbourne to do it, don't we? It's a great spot to take something like this.
Absolutely, yeah. You've got a great opportunity with the facades in the city, and also because you've got those parklands right close by, so it works really well because it's not a long walk between Alexandra Gardens and Carlton Gardens.
That's right.
And you pass through all those other things. So up Swanson Street and moving off it, we've got a cinema in Lonsdale Street, Lonsdale Lounge Cinema. The library itself's got projections, and also the Latrobe Reading Room inside the library's got a fantastic work this year as well. So there's a lot to see, and it's a really broad spectrum of works.
Must be a huge setup time, David, on something like this.
Well, a lot of preparation. Obviously we can't close the city down until Saturday, so a lot of stuff is built off-site and is prepared off-site, and then everything happens from Saturday in terms of closing the streets down. But we've got most of the lighting and the projection installations happening from the next Monday,
right?
And so we'll be having sort of rehearsals of things all the way through the week in preparation for Saturday. And then, of course, this year the big addition is that White Knight's gone regional for the first time. And
yes, up in Ballarat.
Yeah, 2 weeks later on the 4th of March.
And you're doing that one too?
Yeah.
Wow, what a busy man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
No wonder you're on TV this morning and not next week.
Yeah, there won't be much media next week.
You'll be going home to bed for a month, won't you?
I will, certainly when it's over.
It's next Saturday, the 18th of Feb. What's the date for the Ballarat one?
Ballarat's the 4th of March, so 2 weeks later. So if you enjoyed Melbourne, or if you thought if you want to avoid the crowds and try Ballarat, it'll be the first one for Ballarat. It's got Ballarat. It's got some magnificent facades, and we're projecting on 7 different buildings between Lydiard and Sturt Streets. They're right in the heart of the city, and we've got performances and art installations. There's a band and a stage at the Dana Street end of Lydiard. So there's a lot going on. We've got about 45 performances and activations in Ballarat, so it's a busy program up there too, and lots to see.
David, you're an interesting guy. I thank you very, very much for your valuable time today. I really do. Let's not leave it 20 years until you and I speak next time.
Leigh, when you said that, I went, it can't be that long. It's terrible. But yes, we'll make an effort to try and connect again.
We must do something, my word. Okay, mate, take care. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks for your time. I appreciate you giving me some time.
Okay, you take care. Bye-bye to you. David Atkins there, lovely chap. And, as I said, interviewed him first up in 1993 for the Hot Shoe Shuffle. Busy guy, and we're so fortunate to have his expertise down here in Melbourne for Saturday, the 18th of Feb, next Saturday, for White Night in Melbourne, and then 2 weeks later, of course, in Ballarat. Keep those things in mind, please.